Well, when this other thing happened, I'm calling Robert, and he's doing Sherlock Holmes. I called him 27 times. And I'm like, and leave a message. I'm calling his assistant. I'm like, I need the help I gave you. I didn't hear from him until 3 years later. I bumped into him at Brian Grazier's wedding. It turns out that the person that I helped become Iron Man, when it was time to re-up for the second one, took the money that was supposed to go to me and pushed me out. And I called my friend that I helped get the first job, and he didn't call me back for 3 months.
You think you're free of all of that? Or whether that's still something
I'm sorry, I really don't. What are we doing?
Well, I'm just asking questions, that's all.
Right.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you, guys.
Are you... Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
So Terrence Howard is back at it again, voicing his frustrations with Hollywood. But this time, he's taking it up a notch by naming names and calling out none other than Robert Downey Jr., his former Iron Man co-star. According to Terrence, he helped RDJ land the Iron Man role. But when Marvel decided to replace Terrence with Don Cheadle, RDJ didn't return the favor and wouldn't stick up for Terrence. Terrence is now also threatening to expose all of Hollywood's dirty laundry, and it seems like he's on a mission to clear his name after being labeled difficult and crazy. But there's another side to this story, y'all, and some folks are saying Terrence is trying to get ahead of the narrative by painting himself as a victim before any of his own dirty laundry is exposed. See, word on the street is that Terrence has been connected to Diddy's inner circle and those rumored freak-offs. Terrence recently made headlines by suing the Creative Artists Agency, accusing them of shortchanging him on his Empire earnings. But the agency pushed back, questioning the timing of the lawsuit. They're wondering why Terrence waited so long to speak up about being underpaid. And it seems suspicious that he's bringing this up now, just as rumors about his ties to Diddy are making the rounds. It's a bit like Diddy suing alcohol company Diageo after supposed only for it to come out that Diddy was the one who mistreated numerous black men and women. Now, as for Terrence, he also has a history of putting his hands on women, something he has admitted to himself. But what's the deal with Terrence accusing Robert Downey Jr. of betraying him? Was Terrence really blacklisted in Hollywood for no reason? Or is he doing all this talking to distract us from his own allegations? Let's break it down.
That gets taken away. We did a 3-picture deal with Marvel, a 3-picture deal, $4.5 million for the first one, $7.5 to $8 million for the second one, $12 million for the third. We signed it. They come back to me the week that my mother dies, and they called my agent Charles King he was at William Morris at the time, and they said, yeah, we want Terrence, but we want to come back for $1 million instead of the $8 million that we had agreed to.
So you've probably heard Terrence Howard making a fuss about Hollywood trying to blacklist him and cheat him out of his money. Well, he's at it again, this time pointing fingers at Robert Downey Jr. and accusing Downey of backstabbing him. But word on the street is that there's more to Terrence's pity party than meets the eye. People are starting to say that Terrence is causing all this drama about being treated unfairly to distract from his own problems, like his temper, and those rumors about his connections to Diddy and those wild parties. See, Terrence has been stirring up controversy with his behavior for literally decades. Back in 2001, he was arrested for attacking his first wife. Then in 2011, his second wife, Michelle Gent, filed for a restraining order accusing him of DV. And Terrence didn't even deny it. He admitted to being aggressive with her and didn't seem to show any remorse. He told Rolling Stone in 2015, "She was talking to me real strong, and I lost my mind and slapped her in front of the kids." But then in another interview with ET, Terrence claimed that anyone who knows him would say he couldn't hurt a fly because it's against his spirit.
That she can get well, but we're divorced now, and she should stay that way. And I just wish the best for her, but as far as me harming somebody, anybody that knows me, I really can't harm a fly. You know, it's completely against my spirit. But I'm so heartbroken that you can see that doing it on a night like this is only for an attempt to try and hurt me.
So which is it, Terrence? You slapped her in front of the kids because she talked too strong? Or it's against your spirit to even hurt a fly? It's giving Diddy claiming he did not do any of the awful things being alleged, only to be caught in 4K putting his hands and feet on Cassie. Despite Terrence claiming he couldn't hurt a fly, several people who know him and have worked with him say otherwise. In fact, his anger issues are reportedly the main reason he was replaced by Don Cheadle in Iron Man 2. One former associate told the New York Post, "I don't think anger issues quite covers it. Terrence has to be in control of everything all the time. When he doesn't get his way, he loses his ish very easily." And this wasn't an isolated incident either. Terrence has a long history of getting physical with people over minor inconveniences. In 1997, People reported that he was accused of attacking a flight attendant who asked him to return to his seat when the seatbelt light came on. Then in 2005, he pleaded guilty to disorderly conduct after getting physical with a man and a woman at a Philadelphia restaurant because the woman accused him of cutting the line. But that wasn't the end of it. In 2011, a voicemail surfaced of Terrence threatening a fan's life because he believed the fan was trying to flirt with his wife. According to Radar Online, Terrence called the fan and said, "Ninja, this is Terrence. You've been calling my wife. If you call my wife again, I'm going to come to your house and I'm going to cut your effing throat. Understand that. I'm going to tell you this one time. You call my wife again, I'm going to kill you." But it gets worse. Terrence allegedly kept his third ex-wife, Mira Pak, like a prisoner in her house and isolated her from all her friends. Before Mira divorced Terrence in 2015, she opened up about her marriage to Terrence in an interview with Rolling Stone and said, "He doesn't do the dishes, doesn't cook, doesn't lift a finger. I probably leave him 30 times a month. He's so selfish. We don't have a normal life. In our 2 years together, I've only gone to restaurants with him 2 or 3 times. We've never been to the supermarket together. We've never been to the movies. I've never gotten a gift from him. Never, never. I developed a slight form of agoraphobia lately. I never go out. I have no friends here. I feel like Rapunzel, stuck in a penthouse with my baby." And on top of all this, Terrence also has a long track record of victim blaming. He previously defended Chris Brown for putting his hands on Rihanna, and he also claimed that the way women dress is the reason men can't control themselves. In his own words, Terrence said that when women dress provocatively, they create a response in him that he can't respond to in a natural way. Whatever that means. Well, that's quite a bit of preaching from someone who admitted to getting physical with a woman in front of their own kids, and who's also rumored to have indulged in some pretty wild parties at Diddy's place. You see, back in the day, Terrence was all in for partying with Diddy, but apparently they had a falling out when Terrence took on the role of Lucius Lyon in Empire because Diddy was convinced the character was based on him. So even though Terrence and Diddy aren't as tight as they once were, there are some rumors swirling that Terrence might have made an appearance on those alleged FO tapes. In fact, Orlando Brown recently made some outlandish claims alleging he had relations with a bunch of industry figures, including both Diddy and Terrence.
We made love.
Who you made love with?
Diddy, Bow Wow, Busta Rhymes.
You just told me you seen Busta in the airport too. That motherfucker tried to act like he didn't know you. You smashed Drake? Oh, you made love to Drake.
Terrence Howard.
Terrence Howard.
Terrence Howard. Usher. Usher's a gusher. And
But here goes Terrence again, claiming he's a victim and that the entire industry and the government are conspiring against him. Back in March, a federal judge ordered Terrence to pay $1 million in back taxes, but Terrence hit back, claiming it's immoral for the government to force him to pay taxes because he's a descendant of slaves. Kinda can't argue with that. 400 years of forced labor and never receiving any compensation for it. Now you have the gall to try and prosecute and charge taxes to the descendants of a broken people that you are responsible for causing the breakage? But Terrence is not done, y'all. He recently made an appearance on Joe Rogan's podcast and made a whole bunch of wild claims, from claiming he invented a new scientific discipline to accusing Robert Downey Jr. of backstabbing him and taking his money.
Because the universe is based off of equanimity, which Einstein left out in his theory of relativity. The balancing side of the gravity was caused by electric force. Electricity is always seeking a higher pressure condition. It spins northeast, is trying to get to the center of an area, the center of a cone. But the next electric wave is coming, so it gets pushed out, and as it's pushed out, it gets to the vortices.
Now, about RDJ supposedly betraying him, Terrence claimed Marvel tried to shortchange him for the Iron Man sequel, offering him less money than previously agreed upon. Instead of negotiating, Terrence's agent told Marvel to F themselves, and before you knew it, they dropped Terrence like a hot potato, replacing him with Don Cheadle.
You know, I was doing Iron Man.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere, you know, that gets taken away. We did a 3-picture deal with Marvel, a 3-picture deal, $4.5 million for the first one, $7.5 to $8 million for the second one, $12 million for the third. We signed it. They come back to me the week that my mother dies, and they called my agent, Charles King, he was at William Morris at the time, and they said, yeah, we want Terrence, but we want to come back for $1 million instead of the $8 million that we had agreed to. And my agent had an emotional reaction to a business decision, and he said, F you, and hung up the phone. Well, immediately they go to Don Cheadle.
According to Terrence, they also tried to spin the narrative claiming he was a problem on set, which he again denied, despite multiple eyewitnesses saying he was more than just a problem. Terrence then decided to give Robert Downey Jr. a call, claiming he helped RDJ get the Iron Man part, so he expected Robert would stick up for him. But according to Terrence, RDJ refused to take his calls.
But instead of just doing that, they had to spin, oh, he was terrible on set and all of these things, and went through all this stuff. And I'm calling Robert Downey Jr. I'm calling him because when I was doing the Brave one with Jodie Foster, Susan Downey was a producer with Joe Silver. She comes over to my trailer and she's like, wow, it's so amazing. Congratulations on Iron Man. It's the first time they've hired the second lead before they've hired the first. But Robert wants to go in there. And they were talking about Clive Davis and all of that. And I was like, okay, great. You know, I'm just moving along doing my thing. And she was like, but Robert really wants to go in, but they won't see him. And I was like, I love Robert. I love what he does. I loved him in Weird Science. I loved him.
Who did they want?
They wanted Clive Davis to play him. Because remember, in the series, War Machine was supposed to take over.
Right.
And I'm like, well, if Robert wants to come in, so I called Avi Arad immediately. He was the producer on it, and I'm like, Avi, I hear Robert wants to come in, but you guys won't even let him audition. He's like, no, we can't bond him. I'm like, instead of the $4.5 you want to give me, why don't you take $1 million for the bond for him? If he gets, and let him audition, you know, and so he gets the part. Robert is like, I love you, thank you so much, da 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 da. Well, when this other thing happened, I'm calling Robert, and he's doing Sherlock Holmes. I called him 27 times, and I'm like, and leave a message. I'm calling his assistant. I'm like, I need the help I gave you. I didn't hear from him until 3 years later. I bumped into him at Brian Grazier's wedding. And then, but at that time I'd had Empire or whatever, and I came back and he's like, oh, but everything worked out for you. And, you know, that broke me a little bit.
Now, some fans are saying RDJ should have returned the favor and helped Terrence get back on Marvel's good side. But most folks are saying everything that comes out of Terrence Howard's mouth should be taken not with a grain of salt, but with the whole bag. One fan said, Terrence is that guy you're stuck with at a bus stop at 2 a.m. in Inglewood. You tell him to shut up, but he might stab you to death, so you don't. And someone else added, this is why he was dropped from Iron Man. He probably cornered Kevin Feige with this BS at a party. And Feige thought, hell no, he can't do 10 more years of this. As for those allegations about Terrence's ties to Diddy, fans are saying, where there's smoke, there's fire. And it seems like Terrence and Diddy share a lot of the same personality traits. One fan commented, the craziest thing about Terrence Howard is that every time I've seen pictures/videos of him since I was a kid, there is just an aura of evil I pick up on. It's in his eyes and the way he stares at people in interviews. Also in the way he is calculated in his speech and body language, almost like if it's a role, rather than him just being himself and his body naturally moving that way. But what's your take on Terrence blaming everybody but himself for his downfall? And do you think there's any truth to those allegations about him and Diddy? Drop your comments below, and then check out this next video.